Hello everyone, thank you for joining again to our Thoughts on video. This one is on our Valentine's channeling, Valentine's Day and romance. That seems to have been the main topics. And so Caroline, yes, what was your thoughts?
Mm. So thank you all for watching this new episode on our thoughts on the code channeling. If you haven't watched the recording, please click on the link in the description. There will be also a link somewhere. Thank you, Leo. And what are my thoughts? So as I said at the end of the code channeling, I was quite surprised that they would speak about sexuality and sex quite at the beginning. I wasn't prepared for this. I wasn't that ready. And I was quite surprised. So that's the first point. And the other point is that I could feel that Ra um, was probably more comfortable speaking about romance, etc. And for Ashtar was more talking about the energies, and depending on how we radiate, we attract the right person. So I could feel that it was a different kind of approach. They're saying the same thing, but um, I could feel that the energies of Ra were more Valentine's Day, and for Ashtar, more I don't know, another perspective on it. Uh, so, and how about you, Leo?
Well, I could definitely sense that they wanted to shake some stuff up. They wanted to stir the pot, and they were laughing quite joyfully. Because they understood that there would be some discomfort from some, but they did it with good intention, for they understand that it, it needs to be, if there's discomfort here, it's because there's some stagnant energy, and it needs to be shaken up. And so they did it in the most loving way and joyful way, and I found it funny too that just right out, it was like they came right out the bat just swinging, just just they wanted to go for that grand slam right off the bat, and it was quite fun, and to hear their approach on all of this and their perspectives. And absolutely, it makes so much sense that when we think of romance, I mean, it's we don't speak about it, but really that is what we're talking about. Yes, that the sexual relations, that is the sort of key defining qu trait or quality of a romantic relationship. And yeah, so I understand why they want to do that from right off the bat. They didn't want to beat around the bush. They wanted to just address it right away. And and as well as what Ashtar was saying about the the energies, and also the mirroring and the uh so when Ashtar when there was that little pause when you were speaking with
Yeah.
someone, um indeed Ra was like, this was, it was like it was planned as almost by them, because Ra wanted to come and speak and speak about the mirroring and all of this. And it was like at that exact moment is when there was that sort of pause in that way. I don't even think it was an interruption. It was just meant to be, I feel. And so that was great to sort of experience, and um, just kind of proof that it's all divinely planned out in a way by us. And so yes, those are the thoughts that are coming to mind right now. How about for you?
I think that they covered a lot of topic, you know, from romance at the very beginning, if we should expect a text message very, very quickly or take it easy, but also the night stroll, and it all depends on the intent and on how we take care of the other person. But indeed, sometimes there are some people who are not um, maybe narcissistic, or and so whatever you might do, you might be the better person and do everything you can. And at some point, if you're dealing with people who are just manipulating, then it's best for you to go away. And that's what they were also saying. And indeed, they also spoke about how to attract. And so it's all based on our frequencies. And I think that the message was also to say that for people who are single, to take care of themselves beforehand, and to nurture and take care of themselves, and to be able then to radiate at a better, good frequency, so that when they show up, and it makes sense because a person who is all the time depressed and complaining and bitching and angry and criticizing, then it's not really attractive. So rather than someone who is smiling, laughing, making jokes, and enjoying life, enjoying this and this and this and that, it's a completely different experience. And so I think that indeed we may attract someone that resonates with us at a certain frequency that we are at that moment. And then along the way, depending on the quality of the relationship, then one person may also have grown in terms of vibrations, and then it does not match the other person's vibrations, and so there might be a split at some point. um, so I think they covered a lot of topic. They also covered sexuality indeed, and sacred sexuality. So yes, it's like if they wanted to talk about so many different topics, and indeed in love, in the romance, there are so many different subtopics that we could co-channel on. So it's like, okay, this is romance, and this is everything that we can say on romance on a certain amount of time. So yeah, they tried to be as complete as possible, and so it was very yeah, very interesting the way they covered the topic. But I could feel that Ashtar was less was not interested into talking about, sending text messages, etc. When he talked about that, I could feel that he was not comfortable, but not interested. It's like if the topic was very, for us humans, in 3D, you know. And so he talked about that, but I could feel that at the beginning he was not comfortable into our day-to-day, I don't know, romance behaviors, or and that he's more comfortable talking about the topic through another angle. At the end, it was more easy, but I could feel that, yeah, this topic, and I could feel that Ra was more malleable, or more flowing through, or I don't know how to describe. But yes, that it's really like a flow. I could feel that Ra was more like this, very adaptable, very malleable by speaking about those topics, and I could feel that Ashtar was more dang, 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 more. But maybe it depends also on my own energy signature, because I know that you, Leo, you cultivate a lot and way much more than me, and probably my inner state is not that good, or my frequencies are not that correct, or and so maybe it was more, but I could feel that it was more on certain topics. So I'm not quite sure of what I am saying. Because I could feel that it's like if Ashtar was not interested in speaking about humans' little things, such as texting, and was more interested in speak about other topics. Um, I don't know if it makes sense.
It makes sense. Yes, I think what your analysis is accurate. I think well, I think I don't think I'm cultivating way much more than you. I think yeah, I think you're doing very great as well. So I think that's important. And also um me as well. I think there are sort of little filters that when raw comes through, or when I channel, and for everybody, we have these little filters, and those filters aren't bad. It's just that when the energy comes through, they pass through some of these, and so things we may talk about or how we may talk about them may shift. In other words, it may not be a full representation of that being's or collective's energy, because it is passing through our own body. So I think that's important as well. And going back though to what you're talking about in the uh the relationships, there's so much to talk about. There's so much. There's so much. They spoke about so much, but so talking about the let's talk about the mirroring first. So what what I understood was that let's actually we'll talk about this first. So when you're speaking about working on our own self, specifically for people who don't have a partner yet and desire a partner, the what Ra was saying was that we don't necessarily have to be that perfect embodiment of who it is we want to attract or be in in a relationship with. Rather, the most important thing is that we're making strides. We're 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 heading in that direction, or we're growing. In other words, we're intending to grow and we're taking the action steps to actually grow and enliven our own self. And what they were saying is what could happen, and actually what could likely happen, is that you will resonate with another person who is also on that path of wishing to grow and expand and be more vibrant and enlivened. And then you can come together and do it together, and that's what beauty there is in that. So it's not necessarily about trying to be perfect. It's rather about, taking the steps and actually growing as opposed to staying too stagnant. And so I think that was one of their main points they wanted to clarify in a way. And also the idea of, and they're talking about the mirroring as well of there are those that are doing a lot for their partner. However, they aren't really receiving that. And I think it does come back, as they say, to that's probably a sign that you aren't loving your own self enough. And so they're reflecting that back to you. So just as you say, if there's someone who is doing so much or really pouring their heart out to somebody, but it's not being reflected back, and or maybe they themselves are being extremely neglectful, then that could very well be a sign for you to move away, so that because that moving away is a self-love action of, okay, I'm going to create some space for my own body self so that we can nurture and grow, as opposed to constantly trying to, you know, and pour yourself into something that isn't really working out in the best at that moment. And so to step away from that, I think, is a very powerful and could be very hard thing to do, but it is absolutely, I think, an act of self-love and very important to do at times. So yes, those were the things that came to mind.
Thank you, Leo. And is there something else that you would like to share about this code channeling?
Well, let's end with, or at least from my side, I'll end with how they did it and coming back to the sexuality and specifically the sacred sexuality. I think this is really important, and the idea of what they were saying, of we could actually create things even more powerfully by utilizing this energy. In other words, by having a greater intent, by having a greater goal, that's more than just having sex for sex sake or having sex for just pleasure's sake, but really, let us say, directing that pleasure and that energy in a in a in a way that is for the greater good of all. And in other words, creating for specifically, I'm thinking of visualizations. While you're engaging in love making, there's a lot of energy, and if you visualize it, whether it's an image or a something you're wishing to create, that will actually redirect those energies towards that as well. And that, I think, is a very powerful way to create. And as well as just the idea of allowing the energy to move up through our whole channel and body and up and out in this way, as opposed to uh, so when we're I feel like the average or general lovemaking sex process is sort of, a lot of it is being about it, about it, about it. Yes, being about it, about it, about it. And so there's nothing wrong with this, but I think the experience is very limited. And that, yes, there's pleasure that comes from this, but it is very limited to our lower realms or lower centers. And what I'm experiencing and finding more and more is that when you allow this energy up, it there's also a sort of cleansing, clarifying effect on your own body, and it will clear the channels that may have been clogged or stagnant, and it will help to have a more vibrant expression, a more vibrant uh, way to express the energies when you go out your day to day. And I think this is also a very powerful way as well to redirect the energies as well as make love in a more wholesome way.
Thank you, Leo, and I will ask you a question about this in a few seconds. Um, from Ashtar's perspective, there is also, while there is this process of love making, while channeling and willing to serve for the greatest all, or so Ashtar said that it would also open some kinds of portals of knowledge, and that people in the ancient times used to be able to catch some ideas or connect with some higher ideas, etc. But as you say, they also mentioned that this energy can be redirecting into creating projects or other things. That's the thing I don't understand, to be honest, because I can see how two people are engaged in a very physical way, but how, I mean, practically speaking, how can someone engaging in a sacred sexuality process can redirect this energy into creating? Because technically speaking, they're doing something completely different than creating a project or so yes, can you explain this?
Yes, so I think it does come down to visualization or a symbol. So I think yes, visualizing whether it's an image that, for instance, very practically, let's say we want to have a house, yes, to create a house. By visualizing that house or a symbol of that house while we're love making, that redirects a lot of that energy
Mm.
towards that. And so it clears the pathway for that manifestation to crystallize. And also there's a rhythm to it, I feel. And as they say, Ashtar says, it requires practice because generally our culture as a whole right now, our collective, we have a lot of stagnant energies in our lower centers. And we have a lot of stagnant energy in general. And so, when people generally the average people when they come together in lovemaking and sex, I feel the reason why it's so much about it is because there's so much sort of stagnant energy in those lower centers that is just the way that it needs to be done to clear some of these energies. So I feel, and I believe Ra or Ashtar spoke about this too, that, when you first fall in love with someone and you get into a relationship, yes, you can be about it all the time,
I
all
think
day long,
that's raw,
for,
yes.
weeks and weeks and weeks. This is possible. And they're saying there's nothing wrong with this. But they're saying, there comes a point, I feel what they're alluding to was there will come a point when you clear enough of this energy, as long as, uh, if those two individuals, if the people in the relationship are on the path, are consciously on the path of growing spiritually and just growing their life in general, then I think there does come a point where through lovemaking, even if it's just the conventional sort of about it away, it will clear a lot of these stagnant energies. And so then you'll be able to more smoothly begin to redirect the energies through the lovemaking to creating other things. And I think it's also it can be done in this ceremonious way. So, you know, leading up to the lovemaking, the idea of having this intent, this greater intent, and revisiting this intent together, maybe meditating together beforehand and really aligning each other together. And then when you get more intimately lovemaking, to ease into it and to really stay aware or come back to this greater intent of, oh, why are we doing this? Why are we making love now? And I think that is really ultimately how it's done, the sacred sexuality. And yes, this is my perspective and
Yeah,
and
yeah, thank you for your
honest.
perspective. And indeed, having visualize something with the other person while lovemaking, etc. Indeed, it can maybe help to manifest it quickly. And so I was brainstorming when you were saying that I was thinking that maybe I should visualize with the other person, having a yacht or something, or a big house. And then I remembered that Ashtar said for the benefit of all or for the greatest good. And so I was thinking that maybe not the yacht should. And so I think that indeed it can be, we have to focus on if we are willing to do a kind of a sacred love making kind of action to indeed, yes, visualize a project or something that could be done together for the service of all. And so indeed, with the visualization, I think this is a great idea. Yeah.
Yes, and just to add a little bit more to this, we could print out, a picture and put it somewhere and just visualize that. Like that's a possibility as well, and just look at the picture. But also, it's clear that they don't judge. Like even it is possible to, yes, print out a picture of a yacht and tape it to the wall and while you're love making, yes, to look at that. But what they because they don't judge this. They don't think any of this is negative. They rather it comes back to often is that they feel it is at times a practical sort of step or necessity to enliven your own personal life through these ways that you feel a call for in order to actually build yourself up enough to be a powerful agent of change. And so they don't judge any of this. They're saying, yes, do what your heart desires. However, of course, do it lovingly. Don't do it forcingly. That's their recommendation. Don't try to force it too much. But yes, it's okay. You can create these sort of things for yourself. And as you do, you'll find that you want to create greater things that encompass and enliven the greater whole and collective.
Thank you for your wisdom, Leo.
Thank you. Do you have anything else to add, Caroline?
No, no, no. I think I'm all good.
Okay.
How about you?
No, I feel great as well. I think we've come to a
Okay.
nice conciseness here. And so thank you all so much for tuning in. We understand this is can be quite triggering in many, many different ways. However, what Ra is saying now is to ease into it, that there's nothing wrong with a little bit of discomfort if you understand that, oh, this is just a bit of the stagnant life that is now being reactivated to be, yes, to be redirected more in a loving way. And so I think this is good. And so, yes, we thank you all for joining us, and we'll see you all in the next channelings.
Thank you, Leo. Thank you all for watching this episode on our thoughts. And yes, again, we wish you all a happy Valentine's Day. Have a great, great time. And we will see each other soon for another co-channeling. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.